Good afternoon. How are we doing today? Good. I'm glad to see so many people here and really appreciate the time that you took and come to the first All-College of Business meeting. I'm Professor Joseph Winter, and I have the opportunity of introducing my friend Mark Kelso as our guest speaker. I've known Mark for about 7 years. I consider him a good friend and colleague that I can talk to and trust and have various discussions. Mark, just like us, his degrees in business administration. He had a business administration degree from the College of William and Mary. He played pro football. He was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1985 as a defensive back. Unfortunately, they must not have recognized talent because they cut him, and the Bills were able to pick him up. So Mark played his professional career with the Buffalo Bills for 8 seasons, starting in 1986 to 1993. He was a significant part of the 4 Super Bowl appearances that the Buffalo Bills had from 1990 to 1993. When he retired from his pro career, he had 30 interceptions, 8 fumble recoveries. He was the only defensive player to have an interception, a fumble recovery, and a blocked punt for a touchdown. In 1993, the year that Mark retired, he was recognized by the NFL Players Association with the Byron Whizzer White NFL Man of the Year Award. This award was named in honor of the 12th longest-serving Supreme Court Justice. Justice White played college and pro football before he gave up that career in order to fight in World War II in the U.S. Navy. So this honor is recognized each year to one man for his efforts, his charity work, and his community service. And like I said, Mark received that in 1993. After Mark's pro football career ended, he went to Canisius College. He obtained a master's degree in education. And how many of you guys like the Bills? Good. Do you follow Mark on the radio? Mark's a radio commentator, color analyst. He started doing that in 2006. From my own personal selfish standpoint, I'd say turn on the TV volume and listen to Mark and his partner John Murphy in broadcasting Bills games.
That's a requirement for Western New York.
That's a requirement? Yeah. Beautiful. You can catch him on WGR Radio, AM 550. I met Mark while he was affiliated with St. Mary's High School in Lancaster. And like I said, I've known him for about 7 years. He served as the Director of Development, a faculty liaison. Excuse me. He was also the varsity football coordinator for the team for 8 years. Mark's been married to his lovely wife, Robin, for over 27 years. And when they married and they currently live in East Aurora, they decided to plant seeds and plant roots in that town in order to start a family. He still resides there in East Aurora today. Mark and his wife have 3 children. His oldest is Chelsea. Chelsea just recently graduated from Notre Dame Law School. His middle child, Jesse, he was on the campus of Niagara University a few times. He was playing baseball for Canisius College. He graduated there recently with a degree in pre-med and biology. And Mark's youngest, Cody, is also studying pre-med and biology at Kutztown University. Mark also enjoys exercise, attending Sabres games. He's very passionate about his faith and also continues extensively to give back to the community. When I approached him about talking to us today, he was very motivated and very passionate in doing this discussion. Lastly, Mark's also involved with a material science company in Georgia, focusing on the safety issues in an effort to mitigate head injuries.
It's a blessing to be here at Niagara University this week as you recognize the immense contributions that St. Vincent and St. Louise de Marillac made to their Christian service to help improve the lives of those in their community. I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can improve the lives of the people around you and the people of the lives in your community. Integrity. If you've ever had the opportunity to be a member of your school's theatrical arts department or a cast member or a musician or play an instrument in the school band or play team sports, I'm guessing most of you have done that. I suspect you've had the opportunity to do that. And one time or another, you've heard a coach say, everyone on this team is of equal importance. Sounds like a great coaching mantra. Many coaches actually believe those words to be true, but their actions sometimes belie their statements. Jacob was a member of his baseball team, his college baseball team. A valuable member of the team, his coach would often proclaim, but circumstances prevented him from being a regular part of the game. And in fact, Jacob never got a chance to take the field during the regular season. At one point during the season, it became apparent to Jacob that he would indeed not see much, if any, action during this particular season. So after discussion with the coaching staff and some of his teammates, he decided for a redshirt season. Jacob would still be able to practice with the team, continue to be a valuable member of the group, and help his teammates to achieve their conference championship dreams. He'd be included in all team functions, for after all, he was as valuable a member of the team as everybody else. It was a great season for the team. Jacob was a part of the entire time, throwing batting practice, shagging fly balls, one of the guys. The team achieved their conference championship hopes and celebrated their victory together, including Jacob. As a championship-winning team, the players were presented with watches to commemorate their successful season. Jacob had thought that he was a valuable member of the team, as Coach had often pointed out, and his teammates treated him that way, but he was left off the list of recipients for the championship watch. Obviously, Jacob was not happy about the situation, and understandably it soured his opinion of college athletics and statements that coaches make. Jacob would survive, but this experience would stick with him for some time as one of distrust and disappointment. Some months had passed, and Jacob was playing summer ball in his hometown. A package arrived one afternoon in his home, a small package that had no return address. He opened it up to find a championship watch, the same that his teammates had received earlier that spring. There were no names on it, just a note that read, "Sorry it took us so long to get you your championship watch." Signed, your teammates. Integrity. Be a person of your word. Valor. On a sunny May day, Tim King sat in a Nashville church, savoring success. He just watched Branch accept his diploma from Fisk University, the first urban prep alumnus to earn a bachelor's degree. There are times in life, Mr. King said, when you think you're right. And there are other times when you know you're right. When he opened urban prep in suburban Chicago, actually the city of Chicago, in 2006, the school had two core principles. One was discipline, longer days, double doses of English for the students. No bling and no baggy pants, black blazers with the school crest and a tie. The other was a reach for the stars message, celebrated every morning by students gathering in a noisy gym to recite the school's oath, much like you're gathered here today. We believe, they would say. We believe in ourselves. We believe that we are exceptional, not because we say it, but because we work hard to achieve it. We believe in ourselves. Nobody knew for certain whether that message would successfully carry over to college. Nobody knew whether the young students would survive and thrive absent the tough love and constant guidance they experienced at urban prep. But Keyshawn Branch did. Keyshawn Branch comes from Englewood, an often dangerous south side of Chicago. It's home to the first urban prep school. As a young kid, he hung out with gangbangers. He quit urban prep rather than risk expulsion after getting into a fight. When a friend was beaten to death, he begged to be readmitted. He got serious, became president of the Student Government Association. 4 years later, on graduation day, he was fiercely proud and he was deeply grateful. Keyshawn Curtis Branch received his degree in psychology from Fisk University. He wanted to wear sunglasses to hide his tears, and his mom said, "No way. I just feel like God's got my back," he declared, rubbing his eyes. Branch knows where he might be if not for King and the others who believed in him. The day before graduation, a longtime pal had phoned to offer his congratulations. He had called from the Cook County Jail. "I'm supposed to be dead, honestly," Keyshawn says. Valor. When obstacles come, you need to see opportunities. Honor. As future corporate leaders, CEOs have a responsibility to represent all of their stakeholders in the most enlightened way possible. This means meaningfully promoting the interests of their employees, their customers, their consumers, and their communities, as well as their stakeholders. So take a bow, CVS. You're the notable exception and hopefully a tipping point in moving companies from a profit-driven to a profit and purpose-driven purpose. It takes a lot to forego $2 billion in revenues to do the right thing, but as more companies embrace the concept of purpose over profits, maybe a trend will begin. Other key executives have already embraced the idea. Richard Smucker, the CEO of the Smucker Company, and Indra Nooyi, CEO of PepsiCo, have said that by starting with purpose, including social good, corporate success will follow. Young emerging business leaders are also showing promising change. In Net Impact's 2013 annual survey, 83% of MBA students said that they would take a 15% pay cut for an organization whose values aligned with their own. An iconic story is Malden Mills, the second largest U.S. textile mill, which burned to the ground in 1994. The next day, owner and CEO Aaron Feuerstein traded on collecting $1 billion in insurance money. And he announced in front of his employees that he would pay all wages and benefits until the mill was rebuilt. Malden Mills made worldwide headlines and has inspired many CEOs to examine values first before deciding to close plants. Winston Churchill liked to quip that you can always count on Americans to do the right thing once they've exhausted every other alternative. That joking comment bites a little too deeply these days as corporate America continues to dig out of the wreckage of bad decisions, ethical lapses, exaggerations, and even outright fraud of the boom years that ended so abruptly. Times are changing, however, and corporate greed that has helped define the previous decade is being replaced with a new and refreshing philosophy. Coca-Cola, the world's largest beverage company and most valuable brand, has committed itself to becoming water neutral by the year 2020, along with a host of other good citizen initiatives demonstrating that the most successful companies can best fulfill their shareholder ambitions and society's ambitions at the exact same time. Walmart, some good and some bad, but they are the world's largest retailer, and they have dramatically cut their carbon emissions, saving over $200 million in costs, yielding enormous social and shareholder value. BASF, the world's largest chemical producer, is yet another company at the top of its industry that equally finds the sweet spot where doing well and doing good converge, as intelligent materials reduce their weight and energy intensity dramatically while enhancing their functionality. Honor, know what's right, and do what's right. Humility. Mike Binns grew up on the south side of Bronx Hill, a residential street in suburban Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, approximately 5 miles from the metropolitan area. He participated in Little League Baseball, youth football, and loved playing freeze tag with the neighborhood kids that lived on the block. I'm not sure why he enjoyed that game, but perhaps it was the rush of emotion he would feel when his hiding spot was discovered by his youth captors. From an early age, Mike was destined for a profession that was filled with intrigue, suspense, and a touch of danger. Perhaps that's what led him to the military, an area where discipline, his passion for his adventure, and his drive to lead people would best be utilized. His military service also began to engage his electronic acumen. And early on, it was apparent that he would be selected to participate in the elite bomb disarmament brigade, helping to secure safe passage and movement opportunities to military servicemen and women and local community members in war-ridden geographical locations. The community's good fortune was to have Captain Binns available to disarm an unexploded device that was occupying space near their village or homes. He was flawless in his operations, the best there was. When it came time to retire from that position after nearly a decade of service, the disarmament unit could not find an adequate replacement that matched his selfless ambition, his intuition, or his skill set. It would be another 5 years before he could properly mentor other young men and women who shared a similar disposition and passion for service to replace him in the field. When asked to describe what he did or his situation of being forced to remain in his position until qualified professionals could take his place, he'd simply reply, "I'm just doing the job that God and the military trained me to accomplish." Thousands of people around the globe owe their lives to Captain Binns, but to ask him was all in the course of a day's work. Never did he seek attention. Never did he feel his safety was beyond his capacity to serve. Perhaps we can use his philosophical life statement to influence our own life's work. Praise others, let others praise you. Service. Tuesday, March 11th began like most weekdays for Beth, the recently graduated and aspiring young lawyer. She gathered the brief she had been preparing for several weeks that would be presented later that morning to the judge, in search of permission to allow a family from the Far East residence in the United States. This was not your ordinary request, but one that Beth had dealt with on several other occasions. The family felt imminent peril if they were forced to return to their war-torn country. Residence in America would temporarily provide a safe haven and enable the family to enjoy the simplest of pleasures, like sleeping through the night, which had eluded them in recent months as they feared for their lives. Beth presented the judge with a legal brief and was required in these cases, but it was the passion with which she related the story of this family that captivated the heart of the presiding judge. After much deliberation, they would be granted residency in the United States and could begin to rebuild their lives. This was what Beth had envisioned when she entered law school several years earlier. "I want to make a difference in people's lives," was the answer in reply to the question, "Why law school?" When she entered school, it seemed her vision was shared with many of her classmates at the prestigious university, men and women who wanted to make a difference in their profession, a difference in the lives of people they served, using their degree and their knowledge to shape their communities. Somewhere along the course of her law school career, however, it seemed many of those classmates that entered with similar vision had traded them for other rewards that the legal profession offered. Beth understood that these aspirations were not mutually exclusive and began to go down that path as well. That was before she took a volunteer position working at a family justice center in the local community near the university. The experience helped her to regain the passion that had drawn her to the law profession in the first place. The realization came that she was trading her passion for other rewards that came with much less lasting satisfaction. It was a specific day that Beth can recall she made a decision to refocus her career desires to fulfill her original calling, making a positive impact on every person that you are privileged to represent. And one more story of service. In February 2013, there was a patient in the emergency room at the Trinity Trauma Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. It's not an uncommon occurrence and actually was quite a normal situation for the local trauma center. On this particular day, the weather outside was harrowing, to say the least, and the patient was deteriorating quickly. Dr. Hrinku had conducted emergency surgery similar to this on many occasions in his medical career. The logistical problem on this day was that Dr. Hrinku was conducting rounds at the Brockwood Medical Center, 6 miles removed from Trinity Trauma Center. This would not normally present a problem, but this was no ordinary day in Atlanta, Georgia. They received a snow much like Buffalo receives every day of the winter. Dr. Hrinku informed the Brockwood staff that he needed to leave and travel the 6 miles to Trinity to perform the surgery if the patient was going to live. As he got in his car, he realized that driving to Trinity would not be an option, with the roads in Atlanta at a standstill due to the snowy weather. I think they had 3 inches. Dr. Hrinku began to walk in 20 degrees temperature, snow piling up. He trekked 1 step at a time. Unfortunately, he said, I had my slips on from the operating room and my scrub, so I was not really geared up for my adventure. Along the way, he stopped for a few minutes to warm himself inside an ambulance, a parked ambulance that couldn't go anywhere either, and to help stranded passengers push their cars out of a ditch. As he continued walking, a passerby picked him up and transported him the rest of the way Took 2 hours to make the 6-mile journey, most of it on foot, in 6 inches of snow, but with persistence and a single-mindedness of purpose, as well as some assistance from a good Samaritan, Dr. Hrinku arrived at the Trinity ER to perform the surgery. If the patient had not received the surgery that afternoon, he would not have survived. Even Dr. Hrinku says, in hindsight, it was a miraculous event. Service. When there's work to be done, show up. I think you received a card when you came in, did you? I mean, you received a couple. I think you received a Vincentian, or the card for the week, right? And did you receive the card, the purple card, with those character words on it? Yes, yes, no. It is quiet in class?
Sometimes.
Okay. All right, so you don't. I want to let you know that I want you to put that in your wallet, put it in your purse, put it somewhere so that you can continue to remind yourself. If you look up the Greek word kerosene, it means to scratch and engrave. I live in East Aurora, as Mr. Winter pointed out, and I have a very long driveway, about 1,800 feet. And for some reason, 25 years ago or 27 years ago when we built the house, I paved the first 900 feet and the last 400 feet, but not the middle of the driveway. I have no idea to this day why I did that, but maybe it was more expensive than I cared to pay at that time. So every spring, and particularly in the spring when the snow melts and the rain starts gushing down, it comes off the top part of the driveway and it runs into the gravel. So anybody that knows anything about construction, it's called bank run gravel. So it's a mixture of stone and sand and dirt. And it can do its share of damage on a driveway. And you never think about it early enough to go down there when it's really raining hard and see where all the paths are leading and try to direct them where you'd like to. So one day, a couple years ago, it was raining pretty hard, and my son Jesse had come home, and he said, "It's raining like crazy. I'm going to grab a shovel and run down the driveway." I said, "Okay." So he went down the driveway, and about 40 feet up the driveway from where the gravel began, so it would run all the way down the other 300 feet, he scratched this little trench, just a small little thing. And I went down there and I thought, I really appreciated it. And I expressed my appreciation to him for doing that, but I thought, what is this little scratch going to do? And over the course of the summer months and then even the next year, it was amazing to me how that little scratch began to collect all the water that ran down the driveway. And the trench got bigger and bigger and bigger. And all he did was scratch and engrave one little piece. But he gave a path for the rest of that water to follow that then began to secure that and make that the way that direct the water exactly where he wanted it to go. If you scratch and engrave these quality traits in your lives here at Niagara University, in your professional lives, in your lives of your family and your community members, they will become habitual things that you will do that you won't even have to think about as you're making decisions. You will make decisions based on integrity, based on valor, based on honor, based on humility, and based on service. Okay, if you turn around, the front of the card has an anchor on it. Because if you anchor your lives to these principles, I can guarantee you that you will find success in your profession, and you will find success in your families, and you will find success and opportunities to improve the communities in which you live. Commit yourself to developing character traits that will prepare you to lead, prepare you to be responsible, and prepare you to change the world for good. Thank you.